So, your mining rig isn't profitable anymore. Well, here's 4 things you can do to change that. Warning, there are people pretending to be me in the comments and on social platforms. I'll never ask you to add me on WhatsApp or Telegram, and I'll never ask you to send me money, crypto, or your personal information. Alright? So please be careful, use your common sense, and don't let any of these imposters fool you. Alright? Now back to the video. Alright, so I'm here again with my good friend, the hobbyist miner. How are you doing today? You're looking snazzy in your Octominer t-shirt?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm wearing Octominer. What are you wearing today?
Oh, well, what a coincidence that you should say, because I'm wearing the official
Look at that.
FinTech GPU Heads merch that is finally out. So we got that on gpuheads.com, GPU Heads with a Z or a Z, as you say in America. You can get the skull biting the GPU.
Look at that
Design right now. So that's available for those of you who would be interested. But today we are talking about what to do if mining is no longer profitable for you where you live. And I figured we should probably start by just covering what does that mean, mining not being profitable. And in very short, it means that the money you pay to run your farm, usually for home miners, that is only gonna be the actual power cost of running your, be it GPU mining rigs or ASICs if you have those. But for bigger scale farms, that might also include stuff like hiring the warehouse or man hours or whatever you got to pay for. But for us, home miners, it's mostly just like the price we pay for the electricity is more than what we're actually making while mining. And in that vein, let's start with our first sort of thing that you could look into in order to turn mining from unprofitable back to profitable, which is obviously trying to lower your power costs and negotiating a better price from your service provider, your power provider. And that this is something that I know you have more experience with, hobbyist. So what do you have to say?
Yeah, it's definitely a good subject. So to keep it short here, it's definitely worth looking into your electric costs. So reviewing your electric bill and then finding ways to save. So everyone's based off your geolocation is different. So I totally understand that. I totally respect it. Some of it might just be picking up the phone, reaching out to your electric company, letting that, discussing the fact that you have 9,000 kilowatt hours and what type of better rate can they give you? Because at the end of the day, you are using up X amount of power. So you're using more power. So it's worth it just to drop them a call and say, hey, I'm averaging 9,000 kilowatt hours. If I keep with that moving forward, what type of rate can you give me? What can you adjust? It's worth making the phone call. Not everybody will do it. In other places, like in Pennsylvania is one of them, and many other states in the US do this, is they allow you to shop the supply side. So in the US, you have 3 different sides of your bill. It's more like your generation, your distribution, which are traditionally on that, we'll say the right side, which is usually with, like for me, it's the PPL. But then on the left side of that is my supply. And believe it or not, they actually pass the ability for you to shop your supply, which is really something called like the last mile. It's really like where it comes from. So I still stay with PPL, but you can shop that left side. And so that gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of options available. So for me, there's a website called PA Power Switch. You can go to it, put in your information, and then it's going to give you options. You can look at variable ones for 3 months. You can look at static ones for 12 months. You can look at unlimited, and that's what I do actually. I'm currently on an unlimited plan, so the left side of my bill is a set amount of money, and that offers you a huge savings and a huge option. You can also look into, to wrap things up, you can look into commercial or industrial rates. Just call your power company, talk with them. Hey, I have X. Does this allow me to qualify for this? Does look at your options, but you're not stuck with where you are. I've spent hours on the phone just trying to understand it and then also look at options. And it can't hurt. Ask the question. Ask those questions out there to try to see if you have options. So that's kind of the best thing to do when trying to shop around for better power deals.
Yeah, and I believe you actually have a video on how you landed your power bill. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, I've been on a plan, actually ends coming up here in August for 12 months. And it actually is an unlimited plan. And by the time I did the math on it, I ended up at 0.057 for my electric rate, because it's unlimited. Part of it's unlimited. So you're really just taking your total amount of usage divided by your bill at the very end of the day. And I got a great option for it. Granted, I need to swap swap options now coming up in August. But yeah, I have an entire video on how I went about doing this, what my bill looks like, and how I shopped it.
Cool. So let's put the link to your video up in the card, wherever that will be, and in the description of this video for the people to check out.
Awesome.
But yeah, just wanting to add to that, where in the world I am, you get a very big choice of power providers and different companies. And what you can do if you're in a situation like that is basically just call up the first one, speak to them, tell them, hey, I use this much. What's the best rate you can offer me? Then take that, go to the next one and say, this other one offered me this. Can you offer me something better than them? Probably they will offer you a little bit less. And then you just keep going like that.
That's awesome.
And maybe even do 2 whole laps of it. And by the end, you could actually end up with a really good rate. It's a lot of work, obviously, calling all of these power companies and negotiating, but it could be absolutely worth it, because if you could slash, just 5 cents off of your electricity bill, like per kilowatt hours, it's huge. Yeah. You could, that could take you from being unprofitable back to being profitable and staying profitable throughout this whole bear market. And in the end up having been able to mine so much more coin just because of that 5 cent saving. So definitely worth doing if you are unprofitable. And in that same vein, our second thing here that you can do is obviously get solar. Solar panels is a great option, especially with how power prices just seem to go up and up and up currently. And there's also something to say for, like, with solar, you are kind of not only covering for your mining, but also every other, kind of electricity you might be using in your household. And a common sort of misconception I see about solar panels is that people they think, like, if you can't cover your full usage, it's not worth it. But that isn't kind of how it would work out. So let's say you pay 15 cents in electricity, right? And you're just able to cover a third with solar. Well, then it's like you're down to 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Obviously, not directly, because there's an initial investment of buying the actual panels, and you have to ROI that. But taking that into account, if you are paying a high electricity cost, obviously the higher electricity cost is, the more worth it is to get solar, especially if you can get a good deal, if you can kind of figure out how to install them yourself, or with just a little bit of help. Obviously, you would need a professional to kind of sign off the work in the end in most cases. But if you can manage to get a good deal on the panels and inverters, and if you live somewhere where you don't have to go with a battery, you can sell your excess back to the grid, or you can use up your full excess. It could be a great way to lower your power cost and then go from being unprofitable mining back to profitable. So I have a video on how to kind of calculate ROI and the savings you would make with solar panels, as well as if it's worth it to go into like purchasing solar panels over just purchasing more GPUs, for example. So I'll leave a link to that somewhere as well in the card and description and whatever. But let's kind of rush through to the next thing here, which is obviously, if possible, you could switch your GPUs or your mining gear to more efficient mining gear. So, for example, if your farm is mainly, RX 580s or some other kind of inefficient GPU there, what you could do is just sell all of those and buy a bunch of more efficient GPUs, right? And the thing is here, you might have to take a hit on your overall hash rate, but that is worth it, because there's no use in having 2 gigahash of like inefficient GPUs that cost you money to run, that are unprofitable. Because you just have to have them turned off anyway, versus having maybe 1.2 gigahash that would actually be profitable. You know, it's better to have 1.2 gigahash of profitable GPUs than 2 gigahash of GPUs that you have to switch off because they're not profitable. So
Yeah, that's
that's
something I've started to look at actually. I'm going to jump in real quick. Something I'm
yeah.
looking at too on like I have a handful, I have 8580s. And so it's like, man, do I bite the bullet and sell them, which aren't going to net me a lot? I mean, I think right now they go for under 150 right now, US each. So it's like, okay, great. I could sell all 8 of them and then go buy like a 3070. But that's some of the stuff I'm starting to think about. Like, how do I become more efficient? Like, this is right up exactly what I'm looking at is like, okay, when I start to move to the shed, which GPUs am I done with? Am I going to cut my ties with? And yes, my overall hash rate may shrink, exactly what Seb said, but my total amount of electric consumption may go down. I mean, with my Bitcoin miner, I'm going to be almost 13,000 kilowatt hours. So it's like, okay, I could probably nip that down to probably about 8. It just being smart, like selling things off. But now's not the time to sell. But it is the time to buy. So it's like a double-edged sword. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. There's definitely some value.
Yeah, sure. You could have sold those, 6 months
Oh
ago
yeah.
and just waited and bought now, but then you also would have missed out on 6 months of mining. So,
Yep. Yep.
that's kind of like you say, a double-edged sword. Yeah. You might not get a lot for the GPUs selling them now, but you can also buy GPUs for cheap. So
Yeah.
does it kind of even out anyway? Probably. All right, so let's move
Yep.
on to our fourth and final thing on the list here, which is if all of these other things fail that we have gone through, you can't get your electricity rate down, solar might not be an option for you, you already have the most efficient GPUs that you can, then what you can do is you can look into GPU hosting or ASIC hosting, which is basically where you take your mining rigs and you send them off somewhere else to somebody who has a very low power cost, and they will charge you a small amount of sort of a hosting fee, but they will take care of everything for you. And I know that, Hobbyist, you have a little bit of experience with this as well, so why don't you let the people know what's up?
Yeah, so there's, as Seb said, there's actually 2 different avenues you can go. The first avenue is you could find a hosting company out there that you could send your hardware to. Not as many hosting companies go this route because now you're managing like all different types of hardware, in that regard. But there are some out there, especially, there's people in the industry that have small operations that are looking to gain some additional, income coming through the door, and they'll go that route. So it's really finding that. I mean, that's going to be the hardest one, is like finding someone, or finding a company that will host them, and there are some requirements there along that way. What is something that I'm seeing that's more common is, and some people do it, is they sell off all their hardware. And then what they do is they host with a company. And there's actually some decent options out there, but you're hosting with like, you're almost buying the hardware, but from them directly. So a lot of these hosting companies are like, these are the rigs we have. And it's like set rigs, say make, model, everything like that. And so like one that I know of is that I've worked with is Crypto Caverns, and that's kind of their mentality too. And this is very common, is you would buy the rig from them, they run it and store it there, and you get a set rate for electric. So I think theirs was like 8 cents or something. So you literally like buy everything, one chunk price from them, and electric is included for the first year. And that's like, wow, like that at least allows you for the next 12 months. So, but it really depends on your size. Like if you're a massive, pretty decent size, you might not go that route. But if you're like, all right, I got like 2 gigahash, I'm not so sure how committed I am, I'm running this at home, it's quite the headache, it's through the roof, you could cash out and then still have options to continue mining in that exact way. So there are a few different options out there with hosting, either finding someone to host your existing hardware, which is mostly the ideal. Honestly, I agree with you. That's the most ideal. Or you cash everything out and go with someone and host the equipment that they provide to you.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that you could, just sell your gear and then buy into whatever hosting would be available. Exactly. I'm just going to say, let's sum this all up, but first a quick word from our sponsor.
What Are you worried about GPU mining profitability after the Ethereum merge? Wish you could get into direct Bitcoin mining, but you don't want to have a super loud ASIC heating up your house 24/7? Well, Whatum makes getting into Bitcoin mining super easy with their complete mining solutions. That includes offering you all the latest ASIC miners, mobile mining containers and power transformers, or, if you'd rather, they also offer complete hosting services or full facility build-outs. That means that you can run one of your miners in one of their many warehouses. Whatum is the largest distributor of Bitcoin mining equipment in the United States, with their team of over 100 mining experts offering exceptional customer service. They also offer installment payment plans, which makes getting into Bitcoin mining or scaling your current mining operation that much easier. So check them out at whatum.io/seb or by clicking the link in the video description.
So to sum up, basically, first things first, see if you can get your electricity price down. You most likely can, but it might take some work, right? Second, still get your electricity costs down by using solar panels instead, if you could. Third, get more efficient hardware, sell what you have and get more efficient hardware. And fourth and final option would be to look into someone else hosting your mining gear for you. I believe that is it. Do you have anything else you can kind of think of off the top of your head?
No, I think that's everything for today. I think those are some good starting points for the audience.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Hobbyist Miner. Everyone, please go check out this channel, subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah.
If you found this video helpful, then please give it one of these. And if you really liked it, you can now join the channel to help support what I do here. It really does make a big difference and it means a lot to me, so thank you. But what you gotta do now is you gotta click on one of those videos on the screen. Because this video is over, you can also click the picture on my face to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, go click on one of those videos and I'll see you there. Goodbye. Goodbye, bye bye.